I'm always trying to be prompt, man. I always pop into people's live stream and like there's people not even there. I watched a couple premieres today and like the guys who put it out ain't even there. I'm like, what's going on, man? It's funny. But yeah, for me, the Outer Banks is my dad is born and raised here. So my mom is from the panhandle of Florida, like close to Panama City area, out in the country. And so I pretty much grew up in Florida. I lived here when I was real little. I don't remember it. Like I was like 3. And then I moved to Florida. And then I grew up in Florida. And then when I graduated, I moved up here. And I ended up meeting my wife and been here ever since, pretty much. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, a couple people popped in. So welcome, guys, if you're here. Feel free to drop a comment. Here hanging out with Tim. We've had some technical difficulties with the other guys, so we're trying to get them in. I'm also streaming on Facebook tonight, so I don't know whether that'll take or not. Right now it's showing there's errors over there. Sean, what's up, buddy? Good to have you. Welcome. I'm going to mute myself for a second and try to call Sam and see what's up.
All right, all right. We are phoning the homies right now. Trying to get the gentlemen in for the show this evening.
Hey, they're coming in. He just sent me a text, said he's having internet problems too.
I wonder if they're both like in the Midwest. I wonder if there's like a storm out there right now.
Yeah, Illinois, man. That's what he was saying. Good old Illinois internet. I was like, dude, I'm on an island, man. I'm in the middle of the ocean out here. What's going on? But no.
So like I live in DC.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, so I live in DC, but I grew up right outside of DC and this like literally like 10, 15 minutes from the line in Maryland.
Uh-huh.
And so I have like a little space that I work out of down here in my mom's basement.
Right.
Just because it's I can't store anything at my house in DC. Like, you know, like it's DC, it's a big city, like small house, you know.
Right.
And we have a complete music and film studio in our house.
Awesome, man.
So like that's what kind of like keeps, you know, that pays a lot of the bills. So, you know, like I keep some of my eBay stuff here at my mom's house, and then all of my like, you know, antiques and collectibles, glass, china, all that stuff, that's all in a storage unit up here in Maryland too. So it's like I kind of just go back and forth between DC and Maryland. And then I stay a lot at my girlfriend's house, who lives like 5 minutes from my house in DC. So it's like I'm kind of like bouncing around all the time. I'm like in that in-between process right now where like I wish I had a warehouse, you know, but like I make do with, you know, just having stuff in like all these different locations until, because we're kind of like looking at houses. Hopefully we can get a house, and then, you know, I can have like a shed or my whole basement.
Right.
But, like, I don't really have like a defined space where I can keep everything.
Yeah. That makes it difficult moving around. Like, I'd be like, man, what in the world? Like, where did I put this?
So I kind of have a photographic memory.
Yeah.
So like, you know, a lot of people, I always see everybody like on YouTube and Instagram, they have these like, you know, real intricate cataloged inventory systems, you know, like they got the bins with all the letters and everything. I don't have none of that. I'm just like, all right, I know this is in this bin, like just off of my head.
Yeah.
But like my storage unit is semi-organized. The worst is the small things.
Yeah.
So like if I'm like, and it's something that's old. So like my Etsy store has like, I don't even know, because I haven't been listing as much on Etsy because it's hard to source right now.
Right.
So like I think I have like almost 1,400 items up on my Etsy store right now.
Man.
And then my eBay store, because I have some stuff on that's on eBay that's from my Etsy store. Like just because I've been, you know, crossing over a little bit to test the waters. Like I had a piece the other day that I've been sitting in my Etsy store for a while. You know, I took it to the flea market, because I set up at a flea market too, like when it's not social distancing going on. Yeah. But like it sold in 24 hours. Like it was crazy. And then sometimes I bring stuff over and like it doesn't even get any views. Yeah, it's like it's weird, you know. But so on my eBay store, I think I have like 400 things listed in my eBay store, and then you know I sell on Poshmark, Mercari, Depop, and Grailed.
Oh wow, yeah. I was just starting. I put up about maybe like 5 or 6 listings on Mercari, and I've got some clothing. Like I've been talking to Jacob and Sam. And Sam was actually, or Jacob was saying that he had talked to you about the Grailed thing.
Yeah, so you see Cernoc's connection in the chat, right? He's the one that put me on to Grailed. Like he is like the king of Grailed. Like it's crazy. I think he has like way over 500 sales on Grailed.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like he put me on to Grailed. And like that's been it's just good to have all of these different, you know, options to sell on. And so like Grailed today was my biggest sale today came on Grailed. Like I sold a crew neck sweatshirt on Grailed for $125 this morning. And like you know, and that's my girlfriend right there, Josephine.
I thought that was her because I've seen some of y'all's videos, and I was like, Josephine, because you call her Josie on the video.
Yeah, we all call it. Her Josie. Her full name, government, is Josephine. But yeah.
Well, thanks for coming and doing a little moderating there, Josie. We're glad to have you as well.
And then Kent, the man. Kent's one of the funniest dudes in the YouTube chats.
Well, I had him for a second. There he is. Sam, what's up? I got you.
He looks like he just took a shot.
Right here. You can see his shoulder anyway. Yeah, Grailed, man. I'm anxious to get some stuff on there. I'm doing this big 30-day challenge, like listing my monster pile. And so I've just been digging through stuff, man, trying to get there. But yeah, so I've got a bunch of food that I've dug out that I want to experiment out there and see what it's got.
That's the thing, is like there's so many things like you might have that you would never think about myself, right? Yeah. I list everything.
That's me.
Like, I don't even think about it anymore. Like if it's sitting here, I'm a list it. Like right now, I have this pile over here of 225 cufflinks and tie clips.
Oh yeah.
So like I'm going through that right now, and it is tedious.
Yeah. I actually got some cufflinks. I did an auction buy. I mean, like a estate sale auction buy recently, and it was online. And so like I bought like this cabinet and that closet and this, like that kind of estate sale. So you get digging in there, you're like, what is this mess? Like a bag of tie clips and stuff like that. So I looked through it to see if there was any gold, and then the rest of it, I was like, dude, I can't look through all this. I just put it on there, junk drawer special. So like in 2 days, man, it's gone. It's out. Moving on.
I ain't mad at that. So what's going on with you, Sam?
What's going on, bud?
How are you, brother?
Good, man. We're just working with that Illinois internet right now.
So I hear.
They told me I had the fastest internet when I first moved in. They also told me that I got a heated pool. It was heated by the sun. There we go.
G's trying to get on, man. He was in here earlier and he was so blurry, like you couldn't even see him. And when he talked, it sounded like Mr. Murabato. So we had to get him to reset. So hopefully we'll get there. Oh, nope. Oh, there he is. I got him.
Yeah, clear too.
Well, guys, now that everybody's in here, we definitely want to welcome you guys to the show that are here. These guys, myself, Sam, and Jacob, here, Dapper Tiger, Midwest Bargains. We do this show every Friday. We just started a couple weeks ago, but we wanted to reach out, start bringing in some guests from the outside. So, or outside of just the three of us, let me say, not from the outside, because these guys have known each other for a little while. But, so we're so pleased to have Tim from over the years in today and just hanging out with us and talking reselling and I guess Redskins, because I know he's watching the draft. But we're also just wanted to let you guys know, if you don't know who any of these guys are, I'm probably the least known, but if you would, man, their links are in the description of this YouTube. So please like and subscribe their stuff and give them a watch on YouTube. I do appreciate the reselling community. I know they've been a great help to me in my short time here. So we're just going to kind of open it up, and we've got some questions for Tim, and we're going to hang out and see. So I'm going to let these guys, I know they've got some stuff they wanted to ask, and we'll get going. Thanks for watching.
Hey, man. So I think the thing that like burns me the most, right? Like you got so much experience between you and then like you got Mom Dukes like helping you expedite that. Like, how do you tell somebody who's new into glass, right? How do I like go from like scrub to like hobnail hustler, Fenton glass fanatic? Like, how do I get, like, what was like the thing that kind of helped you the most, like your North Star, I guess, with glass?
It's really a combination of so many different things. So the first thing is bad buys. So like bad buys, nothing teaches you more than a mistake, right? And it's just like, and then, yeah, Josie says books. So like you can see like behind me, I have so many books. Like all those are books. All those are books. I mean, they're on like all types of different things. A lot of them are on glass, but like, so when I first started, I started out just because I was helping my mom clean out her basement, right? And she had some stuff. My parents were always collectors and dealers when I was growing up. Similar to like I know Jacob's dad also dabbles in that sort of stuff as well. And then so I knew a little bit. Like I started selling baseball cards when I was like, 10 years old, 9 years old. And like I was at the flea market while they were selling glass. I was selling, sports cards. And sometimes I would make more money at a flea market than they would. So it's like I knew a little bit, very little bit. I knew what Fenton was. Like that was like because my mom collected it, and then so I just kind of started selling her stuff. And then I started realizing like, yo, there's a crazy market out there for antiques and vintage items. So I really just started putting in the work. Like you have to be dedicated. That's the main thing. So like I watched some YouTube. There's a couple of like people that were doing what I was doing. I watched them like before I even knew there was like a reselling community at all. Like I found a couple of people and like I started watching their videos, and then I would just go out to the thrift store and I'd find something. So like I just started small, like learning a few companies, right? And like that's how you really gotta do is you learn a few companies and then it's just research, like the internet is insane. Like there's so much information on there. I use WorthPoint and like for me, WorthPoint is clutch because it not only tells you like prices of stuff, things that have sold. It tells you what platform it's sold on, what year it's sold on. But when you pay for the membership, you also have like this this whole source of library PDF. So like it's important. And like these books right here, like I found a lot of these books on Goodwill auction. I found them on at estate sales, yard sales, and it's like even if you go to like an antique mall, sometimes people in the booths will sell the books as well. And I mean, like I just would take a book and I'd read a little bit on it, and then after, like you just kind of have to envision what you see, and then like I said, you just have to test the waters. You go out and you buy stuff, and then over time you become familiar with it, and you're like, okay, like you learn terminology, and then. Like when I find something I don't know anything about, I'll go into a rabbit hole for like 2 weeks, and like that's all I'll research. And then it's like when I go out and I find something I don't know, I bring it back, and like that's when I start to fall on these rabbit holes, and then it's locked in my brain. So it's like next time I go out, I already know what to look for, and I just kind of like build up like a whole like backlog of information of stuff, and like now I've translated that into other aspects of reselling, because when I first started, that's it. It was just antiques and vintage collectibles. Now, like I sell everything across 6 different platforms, so it's crazy. And I see Ken St. Josie and my Dukes have the knowledge. Like in the beginning, I used to have to ask my Dukes. I'd be like, "What is like?" Just like what something is. So like it'd be like, I don't know if you guys know what a hair receiver is. So in the Victorian days, they used to have this like dish, right? And you would people when they would comb their hair, like women would brush their hair and stuff like that, they would put the hair in this dish.
That's wild.
And like, yeah, so like I didn't know what it was, but she told me, And then after like about 6 months into it, like she was like, okay, you've surpassed me now. So it's like now it's like I'm kind of on my own. But like I remember when I got into uranium and Vaseline glass, like that was crazy. Because my mom had told me about it, but she didn't really know much about it. And I just did a quick Google search, and I look up on the top, and I'm like, Google, they show you the best at the top. So like I look at the top, I'm like, oh my god, these things are selling for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I'm like, I gotta get a black light. So my boy gave me a little keychain black light. Yeah. And like I remember being in a thrift store just like with the black light like this. And then I found my first piece and like I brought it home and I was like, yo, I'm about to be a millionaire. Like, and then like I researched and I look it up, it's like $10 for the cup and saucer. But like at that point, I was like, I started. One thing I really remembered in the beginning was like, things are only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. That's and like right. I always tell myself that. And like a lot of times, you can easily get caught up in comp, and like it depends obviously on what you're selling. But sometimes like you might have something that there's no comps on. And like Cernock always says, he's like, sometimes you gotta make your own comp. And it's like with Vaseline and uranium glass, sometimes you find things and there's nothing out there that's like it. And like I just throw a price up. Like I find lighting fixtures that are like uranium and Vaseline glass. And like those things, I like there's not a lot of comps out on them, but like I sell them for a couple $100 all the time. It's wild. But like that's really the process of how it goes. Like you have to you got to make bad buys, you got to study, you know, and then it's just like start small, and once you feel comfortable with one thing, it like with glass especially, everything's kind of connected, you know, because there's only a few companies out there that were really making glass that's like, you know, at that resale level, right? And then with the books, it just really helps because with glass, a lot of that glass doesn't have markings.
Yeah, I mean, especially like when I first found you, it was right around the time like St. Patty's Day was rolling out, and we're all going out to thrift stores, and they're pulling out all the green glass and like putting it front and center. So I'm like a little jerk, like I was shooting everything with like a black light, looking at it, and people looking at me like, "What's going on?" But I mean, I was lucky enough to have you in my back pocket and send you a picture. Like, yeah, don't worry about it; it's nothing.
I mean, and that's the thing too, is like, I love people. I tell people all the time, like, send me a message. Like, I'll help all the time, because like that's the thing. It's like what Eric was saying earlier about the community. It's like it's super fortunate to be able to have this community, because like, you know, some people might look at it as like, oh, like people are a certain competition, right? And it's like it's the complete opposite, because if everybody helps everybody, like you help push the market as a whole up, which is what's important for us as resellers, because we all are going to find something different. There's certain things that we're all going to find that is going to be the same. You know, like if we're all going to find a week, you know, like that's what it is, you know, but that market will stay the same. But it's like, just being able to help other people to me is like the biggest thing. Like I always, and I mean, that's not just with like reselling, but that's just like in life in general. Like I'm a big believer in karma. So it's like, you know, you really have to, you know, a lot of times you got to make your own luck, and making your own luck has a lot to do with helping people.
Jacob, while you're in, you got a question before something happens screwy with your internet?
I don't know. It's really laggy.
You can speak in that robot voice for us.
Yeah. I was like, Tim, you're getting interviewed by a cyborg right now.
Yeah. Max Headroom. You guys probably don't remember that.
I was going to ask, what's one thing you guys wish eBay could implement for sellers?
All right, instant pay. Instant pays would be first for me.
Yeah, me too.
And like the thing is too is I'm fairly new to eBay, like as like a so I'm a full-time reseller, right? I just started as a full-time reseller in January 31st was my last day of work before I became a full-time reseller, right? And so before I made a decision to finally jump, I tested the waters on eBay first just to see like how I would do. And it's like, it's completely different. So like, you know, I started off on Etsy. That's all I knew. And I did Mercari a little bit even before I did eBay. But like with Etsy, like it's no PayPal. It's like straight credit cards. They buy an item, the money goes onto your Etsy account, and I have it set up where all my everything I sell like on Monday, all that money gets transferred to my account on Tuesday. I don't have to do anything. Like it just automatically set up like that, right? And then it's like, you know, the customers on Etsy are a little bit different too, not as difficult. Like I've sold over 2,000 items on Etsy, and I've had maybe like 4 returns.
Shoot.
And it's like I've had like 2 bad feedbacks of like, I think I have over 500 like 5-star reviews on Etsy. And like, you know, they're like feedbacks like crazy. People just don't know what they're talking about. Excuse me. But like, and some people say higher fees on Etsy. No, that's the other thing too. Is like every platform has its pros and its cons. That's just that's the way that it's gonna be. Like if it wasn't like that, there'd be a master platform that was like, Captain Planet of all the platforms. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody coming together, like the Power Ranger Transformer of selling platform. But like it's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna exist. Like I mean, on eBay, you gotta pay PayPal fees, right? If you promote your listings, you pay a piece of that on promoted listings. Then you have, if you don't have, you have your store fee, if you have an eBay store, and then it's like, on Etsy, they're changing too as time evolves. Like when I first started on Etsy, their fee was like 3%, and that was it. I didn't have anything else. Now it's up to like 5%. And then now they're implemented this like mandatory advertising thing that they're experimenting with power sellers, like people like me. But like that's the thing too, is like for me, like you pay this money to make money. That's life. That's business rule number one. Like if you want to make money, you gotta spend money. So it's like I don't mind spending money on marketing and advertising. Like some people complain about that. And it's like, but with eBay, that's one of the things that sucks the most. And then it's just, I mean, there's little things about like eBay is just the interface. That's one thing I would change too. Like working on eBay is like working on Microsoft 97, like it's very outdated.
So that's something that I would want is like, why can't I list easier on this thing than on a computer for eBay? You've been around forever. You can be a trendsetter right now, but everything I see right now is all Macari. Maybe because I talk about it, my phone's listening in, and Big Brother is targeting me, but I'm not the only one.
No, Macari is great too in a sense. So like with Macari, they're doing what Etsy started doing before that. Was they're putting a lot of money into outside marketing. So like if you watch, we all watch YouTube. I see Macari ads on YouTube all the time now.
Yep.
I hear Macari ads on the radio.
It pops up on eBay.
Yeah.
You see Macari ads on eBay. And you're like, what?
And I mean, like, that's brilliant, right? Yeah. And then the other thing with Macari too is their fees are a little bit cheaper. They're 10%, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So like, but I had an issue with Macari. So like I was on Macari and I was selling, and then I kind of like slacked. Like I wasn't consistent. And I made no sales. And I was just like, man, I'm giving up on Macari. And then I became full-time, and I was like, all right, so I'm going to sell on every platform. And then Tommy and them told me about List Perfectly. And like, that was it. That was the game changer. I was like, I'm just like, I can literally put something on List Perfectly. And then from there, I can list it on all 6 platforms I sell on. And then like, if I have something on another platform, I can take it from there and put it on another platform, like easy. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get into everything. So then I'm like back on top of Macari. And then Macari was like going well. I was making a bunch of sales, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, I get in, when you start making like back-to-back sales, like you get real excited. And so then all of a sudden, all my listings were gone. My profile picture was gone. I was like, wait, what happened? And so I realized that, I'm like this. I'm big into marketing, right? So I basically try to connect everything that I do in one like circle. So I had my Instagram and my YouTube link in the description of my listings on Macari, which is a big no. But I didn't know. It wasn't like I was trying to like, rig the system or cheat, as my girlfriend said. But like I was just trying to promote, so it was like I thought that was okay, and it definitely wasn't. And so they took all my listings down, and I know that it had happened to Cernock too. So I hit Cernock up and I was like, yo, what should I do? And he was like, you got to call them, and tell them, explain to them that you didn't know and this and that. So I got called them and they were not having it. I sent them messages, nothing. I was like, look, I will manually take out all of the, that information from all the listings. And they're like, nah, we can't do that. So basically I lost it all. So I just had to start all over again. And then when that happens, like it takes you time to bounce back. So because like, they, even though like my sales stats are the same, like I didn't have any listings. So like, and then like you basically are in Macari detention, as we refer to it. So I just went back to doing it, and just every time I listed something, I cross-posted it on Macari. And now Macari has taken off a little bit for me. Like I've made some really big sales on Macari. I sold a Roku soundbar, like still in the package, for like $100. I sold the GameCube bundle on Macari for $135. And then it's just like the tinkering with things. Like it's with like that on every platform. You got to kind of tinker with stuff. So like with Macari, I never do free shipping on nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's also because dealing primarily in the beginning, especially with only antiques and collectibles, like you can't save money on shipping. Like I can't like put a piece of glass in a poly bag and, in the mail, you know what I'm saying? So like I realized, I'm like, you know what? If they want me to do free shipping, I'll do free shipping, and I'll just calculate, because I know by now how much most things cost to ship, right? And I use Pirate Ship. So, like I have an idea, like I've shipped so many items out that I know, okay, this is going to be probably the most this is going to be is like $15, $20, $5 for this, like this can go first class. So I take that amount and I implement that into my price. Right. And so now I don't know. Do you do the smart pricing on Macari?
Don't.
Okay. So I do that. I do that now too. So I include that. So I'm like, all right, whatever the lowest is of smart pricing, I'm like, that's what I would normally list this for, including shipping. And then I put my highest price up top first. So like if I want to sell something for $20 and it's going to go first class, it's going to cost $25 total, right? So I might list my item at like $33 and then let it drop down. And when it hits the floor of smart pricing on Macari, it lands at the price of what I would normally sell for. So then it also opens up the door for offers on Macari. So like if something's a little bit high, it might seem to somebody, they'll send you an offer. Like I got an offer I'm going to accept here in a couple of minutes on something. But like, and something just sold on Etsy too. So it's just like, tinkering. You really got to tinker with it. Like with eBay, like I'm always trying to fix things because I don't know how it works. Nobody knows how it really works. But like I take things that I learned from other people, like Tommy and Tracy, and Lisa and Cernock. Like I Lisa from Couple of Pickers. Like I take those things that I learned from them and I just implement it, and then I do my own thing and just tinker with it until I find something that works. And then it's like the algorithm is always changing, no matter what it is. Reselling, YouTube, Instagram. Yeah. So it's like I remember once I heard Gary Vee say, the best way to beat the algorithm is to pretend like there's no algorithm.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you just kind of gotta make your own way. And like, that's how it is. Like I'm always like, all right, what can I do new now? Like just trying to change it up, be innovative, think outside the box. Like that's what's going to separate you like from everybody else. Not necessarily like it's a competition separates you, but like you still have to pretend like, you're running a business.
Yeah. I think that's one of the big things that, people, I guess when people get into reselling, and I'm sure, we all deal with that, is you see it is a business ultimately. Whether it's part-time, whether it's full-time, whether it's there's hurdles you got to go over, and it's adapt and overcome. Like you just kind of got to work with what you got and just keep changing it up. For me, I was going to ask you, because you touched a little bit there on the shipping, like you're not making any money on shipping. Honestly, for me, the reason I've stayed away from glass so much is I'm scared to death to ship it, because I got some carousel horses early on, and I busted like 4 of those things shipping.
Yeah.
So just for us that are nervous about shipping, like what's your deal? I know
if you are like ever nervous about shipping fragile items, I did a video with my mom, because my mom does a lot of the shipping. And now I do a little bit more, because she has my nephew home. So look, everybody gives me a hard time because they know my mom does a lot of the wrapping. So lately, I have to do the wrapping because my nephew is not at school. So it's like, and that's the other thing too, is like you gotta think about it. Like, it's tough being full time, right? So like I have 6 platforms. A lot of times I'm making sales on multiple platforms. Like literally right now on my phone, I just got an offer on eBay, an offer on a car, and sold something on Etsy. So it's like, I packing, and then it's like, but you got to list every day, right? So it's like, but packing takes time, listing takes time. So it's like, I'm super fortunate that I have my Dukes and Josie who help me when they have the opportunity to. But like, we made a video on how to pack fragile stuff, and I highly suggest that everybody goes and watches that video, because it's totally worth it. And like we made the video for that specific reason, because it helps people realize that it's not that bad, because it's definitely a scary situation. Trust me, I wrap things the way we wrap things, and I still be scared. Like I sell a teapot, a sugar, and a creamer for $230. And I live in DC, and my mom lives in Maryland, so I ship out of Maryland, and that thing got to get shipped to Oregon. So like you everybody knows, like if you shipping something like one county over, one state over, you feel a little bit more comfortable. But when you shipping something all the way, like I shipped a set of 6 glasses to Italy, and I'm just like, man, I see what happens when it goes into the post office in front of me. Like, imagine what it goes through on its journey to Italy, But like, the method that we use is actually fairly simple. And in the description of that video, and in all my videos, I have a list of everything that we use, the exact items that we use, because like I only want to like represent the items that we use, because like I feel comfortable using them myself. So like the method that we do is first we do 1 layer of paper, like packing paper or tissue paper, depending upon what the item is, because sometimes you want to use tissue paper because you don't want anything to get scratched from the packing paper. But the packing paper is just like regular, gray packing paper, nothing like crazy. So you do that first layer. Then you do a layer of small bubble wrap. Okay. And the thing is you really have to think in your head, like, what's the worst that can happen? Okay. So like with the teapot, you want to make sure that spout's the most fragile part. Anything that's like a point or a tip or something that's like on a line, like those are the things you want to make sure first and foremost. And then like with a bowl, it's the edges. You got to make sure the edges. So after you get the paper on, then it's a layer of small bubble, and then it's a layer of big bubble. And this big bubble is like, it's this special bubble wrap. I don't know how else to describe it. And like I'm gonna be honest with you, I spend a lot of money on packing materials, but it's worth it because I don't have to worry about something breaking, and it's like, and when you get those reviews and people, one person after another says how you ship something, somebody's going to feel a lot more comfortable with paying for a $500 dish, and it's like, even though people still want to message you, they're like, hey, can you make sure you like put 2 layers of bubble wrap on that and double box it. And I'm just like, I got you, bro. Don't worry. I'm a professional at this. So like this big bubble wrap, it's air sealed bubbles. So it's not like you can't really like pop it with your hand. So and then you literally I create like a ball almost of it. So like I can bounce it on the table once it's in that. And then the big thing after that is your box. You want to make sure that your item doesn't touch any part of the box. Like that's the biggest part, because the sides and the tops and bottoms, that's what's going to be getting the most of the tension and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you have paper like nested. That's the way I look at it. Like think about like a bird's nest, like how a bird treats its baby eggs. That's how you want to treat your fragile item inside that box. You just want to nest it. So then it's just like, and then you always got to do the shake test. Just shake it and make sure nothing's moving. And then that's pretty much the process when it comes to shipping fragile items.
I got you. So Colton had asked about, do you have that app that listing on all the platforms, and does it remove it or take it down, cross post?
So it has an option on. So I don't. The funny thing is you can use it mobile, right? I'm one of those people where I can't list on my phone. I can adjust things, edit things, and handle like all the business side of everything, like offers and stuff like that. But when it comes to listing, I gotta do it on my computer. I don't know, something about the just doing it in front of the screen, I feel more comfortable, right? And there's certain things you can do on the computer you can't do on apps anyways. So with List Perfectly, they do have a mobile version, but I do it on my computer. They have an option that you can press. So like it basically you'll have your listings, and then it'll be like it'll tell you what platforms it's listed on, and then it'll give you an option to click sold. So you click that sold button, and all of a sudden they'll pop up a tab on your browser of all the platforms that the item's on, and it'll remove it. But me personally, I'm so quick, and I'm always by my phone, which is another reason why I always am able to answer questions for people. So it's like I'm just like connected to this thing, because my phone, honestly, my phone goes crazy all the time, because 6 platforms, like the notifications, like and to me, one of the biggest things is like I'm big on customer service. So like when somebody has a question, I'm like there to answer immediately, right? I remove them manually. It would be so dope if it just sold and it automatically took it down. I'm sure that's something that they're thinking about doing, but like, yeah, if you go into your Kent knows, if you go into the catalog, you can delete it and they'll delete it all for you from that one button. But I do it manually. I feel like more comfortable doing it, but I've used both ways to do that. But like the thing is, like a lot of people say, the question I always get is, what happens if you sell something while you're sleeping? And I'm like, man, you gotta hope it doesn't happen. You're knock on wood.
Have you ever double sold something?
What's that?
Have you double sold something?
No, I'm lucky. I haven't double sold something yet.
I got you.
But like everybody knows, if something sells and you double sell something, eBay is always first. Because you'll get a strike if you cancel an order on eBay. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, for sure. What about Amazon? Have you ever done anything with Amazon?
No, I have heard. I thought about it. So back in the day, before like Amazon was a thing, and like before I knew, I've always kind of resold in my life. So I used to do what we called the Craigslist hustle. So we would ride around in a truck and we'd pick up a whole bunch of stuff for free on Craigslist, and then we would resell it on Craigslist. So like that was like my first taste, I guess, when I was younger of reselling. But like we used to sell books on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And that was years ago. But like now, no, I mean I've thought about it, but for me, I don't know, like it's not the same when you like like the thrill of the hunt is not the same on Amazon. But like I'm sure when you sell something, it feels good.
Yeah.
So like I don't knock anybody that does Amazon because like it's all, you know, it's all the same thing. But like I just personally haven't gotten to it. Like I'm still trying to be able to like master Poshmark and Depop. Like I might jump into Amazon one day. I never say never, you know, but like I just never got into that point before. But I do the Amazon affiliate link program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
know that. You know. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
beat
go
it
ahead.
after 2 weeks on Amazon. Like 2 weeks, I did some RA and got the boot like right out the gate. So I've been eBaying it up since then. Like, one of those things.
Yeah, it's a whole nother beast. It really is.
For sure.
Right,
What
that's
about you, Sam? Have you ever done any Amazon?
I have, you know, like selling books here and there, video games and stuff. Like, I live literally like maybe an hour away from a distribution center, so it's really cheap for me to send stuff in. But you know, I'd rather scavenger hunt for myself than Amazon. You know, I think Ken said it. It's hard to do Amazon like on the side, you know, and it's like I kind of look at it like every platform I'm getting into is like a stock portfolio. You know, I'm trying to study it, and if I'm trying to diversify too quickly, my portfolio is just going to fall apart. Like that happened to me when I first started because, you know, I was getting into I was getting into Tank. So like now I'm pulling up like Depop and Grailed and Macari and Posh. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm a cheapo. So I'm like, I can cross list it myself, but you know, I could do that, but learning the nuances, you know, like you first get on, everybody I'm sure who gets on to Poshmark like the first time, they probably feel like a G because they're getting like 50 followers in an hour.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
shoot.
I'm like, wait, but I haven't sold anything yet.
Yeah.
I've got 7,000 notifications, but
Like I made it. Watch out, TikTok, here I come.
Yeah, it'd be different if you could get monetized with Poshmark, right? However many followers you got a little coin.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing. That's another thing that's super important, though. It's like when you start selling all these platforms, like being able to like create a like a schedule. So like I talk about it a lot. Like I try my best to abide by the same sort of like routine every day. So for me, Instagram is super important. So the first thing I do when I wake up, and Josie will tell you, even before I wake up, like when I wake up, I look at my phone and I'm like, oh, all right, I got to answer all these notifications and then like send out a few offers. And then I'll put my phone down. Or if I sell something, I got to take it down from these platforms. And I'll put my phone down. I'll go to sleep for like another hour. And then after that, I wake up and I'm like, all right, I got to get my day started. So I drive from DC to Maryland. And then before 11 o'clock a.m., I post 3 things that I'm selling on my collectible Instagram account. And then 3 things that I'm selling on my other Instagram account. Then after that, you gotta, you know, I send out offers on eBay, and then I send out offers on Macari, and then I send out offers on Poshmark. So like anytime somebody likes something, I send out an offer. And then I share my closet on Poshmark. And then after that, I gotta start packing. And then it's listing. And then it's to the post office. And then I try and take as many pictures of items as I can before I go back home to DC so that I have and coffee, Ma Duke says. and then I have a whole bunch of pictures so that when I go back to DC, I can list things at night before I go to sleep. And then I got to make YouTube videos too. So it's like,
yeah,
it's not easy, man, but I love it. Like it pushes you, you know, plus I got to pay the bills. It ain't cheap to live where I live and survive. But I don't know. It's just you always gotta try and find a new way, something that pushes you to do more. And then because I'll be honest with you, I never thought I would ever sell on eBay. Never thought I would ever sell clothes or anything like that. Like, you know, but It's just the way that the path takes you. And it's like people don't realize, man, YouTube University is the best thing in the world. Like everything that you could possibly want to learn is all on YouTube. Like if I don't know something, like I know that I found 2 bags of golf clubs on the side of the road. I gotta post, like I golf, but I've never taken a lesson. I shoot like an 89, 88. That's like my average score in a round of 18. But like I never had a lesson. I've never bought like a brand new set of clubs. You know, like I just kind of like taught myself how to play. And then, but I got these golf clubs and I'm like, you know, selling golf clubs is a little bit different than pulling a 9-iron out from hitting the green from 120 yards out. You know, like I can do that, but I don't know if I can sell them. So like, you know, I'm trying to find some people like Carolina Hustler. I don't know if y'all know him. Yeah, Casey. He sells a lot of golf clubs. So like I'm trying to watch some of his older videos and check them out too, you know.
Hey, yeah, Jay, you need to pick up some vanilla ice cream, bro.
Oh man. No, okay. I'll try, babe. I'll try.
Hey, look, and she emphasized it further down and said, somebody.
Oh, Josie, now you got my wife wanting some.
Yeah. I've been married 25 years, man. I know to go ahead and get that communication out real clear.
But yo, so Chris asked, do I drive like Happy Gilmore? I don't. But I will tell you, so I played baseball, football, and basketball in high school, like at a pretty high level. But you could totally tell that I played baseball by my golf swing. So, and I have a very unorthodox. I'm not like Charles Barkley, but I'm not like Tiger Woods. Let's just say I'm somewhere in between the two. But I'm going to do a video of me like going through the process of, you know, figuring out how the hell to sell golf clubs. And in the video, I'm gonna put some clips in there of me golfing so everybody can see like my unorthodox golf swings.
Hey, there's warning number 3 right there, just so you don't forget.
Oh man.
Ken said milk and bread too, bro.
Man.
I'm gonna end up with a whole grocery list by the time I go.
You just went from being reseller to like an instant cart guy.
Yeah. Personal Instacart. My dad, when he plays golf, he hits it hockey style. It don't get above like maybe 5 or 6 feet off the ground. It goes straight. May only go about 75, 80 yards, but it's about 5 feet. I was like, worms are ducking everywhere.
Straight snapshot.
It's funny.
Bro, I leave nothing but craters in the ground when I'm swinging. Because there's like nothing more frustrating. Because I play baseball too. You know, I'm trying to hit it with all my might, and the ball goes like 3 feet in front of me, or it finds the drink no matter what, and it's probably the most frustrating thing.
I'll tell you, there used to be this golf course. It closed down, unfortunately, but there used to be this golf course called Redgate, and they had this hole on the back 9 that was like treacherous, and it has like 3 of my clubs in the lake in that hole. Because I used to have a really bad temper and I'm super competitive. So yeah, let's just say I've chucked a couple of clubs in that lake.
Anger management, they call
it. I heard a little sidebar action there. Anger management. Yeah, I watched him bend one over his knee one time.
Oh, I tried to do that with a baseball bat, and I got the most wicked bruise on my thigh. Yeah. I thought I was Bo Jackson, Ricky Henderson. Like, I was like, I don't know why you're going out the next inning, coach.
I heard something snap, but it weren't the bat, right? One of those things, for sure. Man, it's funny when you get into that. I've sold a few golf clubs even recently. I kind of stick to like obviously Cincinnati Picker knows a lot about that kind of stuff because he used to work at the sports store, which helps with that. But like I think a lot of guys talk about is drivers, putters, and pitch and wedges. Like that's really where it's at.
And that's the other thing too, is just trying to figure out how you want to sell it. Like, do I lot up a couple of them? Do I sell them individually? Like,
I think it's like everything else. I mean, if they're valuable, like I sold a putter and a driver last week, and but the putter was a ping. It was like a $50 club, so and it was clean. It was nice. I mean, drivers are a little bit more particular just because, you got to double box them things. You know, the big Franken box.
2 boxes, right?
2 boxes. You know, and it takes 2 of them like stuck together, so it's kind of awkward. I mean, they're light. Like I sold a TaylorMade titanium. It's like the bubble club. It was light, but it was long. So.
And this other thing too, I kind of want to keep these clubs for myself,
Ain't
right?
Ain't no doubt.
Because they're Callaway hot, the hot Callaway hot iron set, and I'm like, somebody just put this to the curb. Like this is like brand new, probably close to a G.
Yeah. I sold one that had came in from a golf shop, but it was rusted. It was the old Callaways, and so inside the club head, like. It was rusted there, and it's like, man, I soaked them things in some rust out just to try to get that thing out. I couldn't never
come out
clean. So I still did also. I mean, I still ended up flipping them, but I got about half what I would have got just because they, had a little stuff to it. But
another thing, like when all this stuff started, I wish I kind of stopped focusing on baseball bats and pivoted more on the golf clubs.
Yeah, people are still golfing right now. Like sneaking on the courses is what they're doing.
Because I forget who I asked when all this stuff started. I was like, hey, what do you guys like? The NBA had just canceled. Soccer was canceled. Baseball was going. So I asked someone, I was like, hey, everything's canceling. You think we should keep sourcing sporting goods stuff? They're like, yeah, it's selling good for me. What's stopping you? I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think this is going to keep going. And then like a week later, they're like, yeah, sporting goods stuff is down for me. You should go source something else. I'm like, son of a gun.
Yeah, I've probably got 8 baseball helmets and about 5 gloves that are just hanging out waiting on because
this is the thing though, is like I think that it's still smart. Do you have them all listed already?
Yeah.
Okay. Because like I think that it's a lot of people are gonna make the mistake of not listing those things, right? Yeah. And then they're going to be rushing to try and list them when everything opens back up. But the people who have already started listing all that stuff, it's already there. Because, eventually the psyche of people are going to be like, okay, things are going to eventually come around. Hopefully. We all are hoping that, So, like, once it starts to come around, they're going to start to be like, all right, let me go get my gloves now, because things might open up in a couple of weeks. And then like if you already have it listed up, that's why like it kind of irked me a little bit. Like there's nothing wrong with like, okay, go out and if you can find some video games right now, go get them because it'll be a quick flip, right? But like, sometimes people are irresponsible on YouTube and they they don't tell people the whole deal, right? So it's like, somebody's like, oh my God, I just got this huge lot of video games, $130, right? And then they don't know that, like, yeah, you got 130 video games, but 127 of those video games is going to sell for $5 if you're lucky.
Yeah,
it's
free
like
$5.
Exactly. So it's like, don't always listen to what everybody says. And if you do listen to it, like, that's the thing. It's like, I would see something that somebody said, right? And then you got to jump on, and then you have to do your own research on top of what people tell you, because it's like you're never going to be able to just. It's not as easy as some people on YouTube make it look, like. And that's the thing. It's like, reselling is full time. It's no joke. It's no joke. It's a hell of a lot of work. Not to mention like YouTube. We all trying to grow on YouTube too. It's not like we're trying. It's not like we don't. Let me explain that too. It's not like we're not trying to become YouTube stars,
right?
But we're all trying to grow on YouTube because it like if you get monetized, the way I look at it is like hopefully one day I get to the point where my YouTube pays for my shipping supplies. Like that's what that's the way I look at it. Like
Right.
I'm not like, yo, I'm gonna get big on YouTube and then I'm gonna pretend resell after that. Nah, I just want YouTube to pay for my shipping supplies.
Right.
Like that's the way I look at it, you know. And it's like I was super fortunate because my YouTube journey is a little interesting. So like when I first started YouTube, my mentality was I'm gonna start YouTube is going to help me make more sales on Etsy. Like that's what I was thinking when I started. I was like, I'm not going to do like what everybody else does because everybody else like tells you it's like they're giving away the secrets, the tricks. I'm like, man, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it different, and it didn't work. It just it's so difficult to like show people how items and like the days ins and days outs of YouTube, I mean of reselling without like telling them what reselling is, but like that doesn't mean that you can't, people get viewer sales all the time, like they understand what you do. And it's like, if you have something that somebody wants, they're going to pay for it no matter what, if they know how much you pay for it or not, but like, so I just kind of stopped doing YouTube for a while. And it wasn't necessarily because I was giving up on YouTube. It was just that I didn't have a camera and I didn't think about how I was going to really, do it because I'm a perfectionist and like I do photography and video and I'm just like, man, I can't be doing this on my cell phone, man. This is not how this is going to work. Like I wanted to make a movie for every YouTube video,
Right.
And then like, I was like, I didn't have a computer either. Like, I mean, like I've built myself up to this point. Like it has been a fight, claw and fight, not just on YouTube, but reselling. Like I didn't have a laptop, like and I already told you I don't like to do anything on my phone. So yeah, I use my mom's laptop. And I would, you know what I'm saying? Like I use Josie's laptop, and then Josie's laptop broke, so like we couldn't like edit videos anymore. So like then I was like, now what do I do? And then I made some sales, I saved some money, and I bought a computer. And then I was like, you know what? I put Premiere on my computer because I got a hookup, so I put Premiere on my computer. I use Filmora sometimes, like if I want to do a quick video, and not like do all the crazy editing of like that I would do in Premiere. And then I was just like, yo, I don't have to make 30, 45 minute, hour long videos. Like I could just, be me and put these videos up. And so I started doing it. And then the turning point for me on YouTube was when I got challenged by the Block Vintage, Mary over at the Block Vintage. If you guys haven't checked her channel out, she's hilarious. Check
Mary's great.
So she challenged me to do the 19 questions challenge. And so then I did the 19 questions challenge with Ma Dukes and Josie. And like that video kind of took off. And then I found Tommy and Tracy's live. And then like, I just kind of found my crowd, like with that crowd. And it was just like, the things just started rolling. And then people started appreciating, like, I guess there's nobody out there like me. So like, I'm a wild dude and I sell glass. So it was just like, and then it just started rolling. And I met a whole bunch of like really cool people. I learned a lot of new things. And then that was it. Like now, you work hard. It was just, everybody does it different, but that's just kind of how I did it. Like, I was just like, yo, I'm just going to keep being me, keep being consistent, because I go back to Gary Vee a lot because I was watching Gary Vee like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I really listen to the things that he's saying. It's just like, yo, if you provide value for people, like there's nothing, people will always come back and they want more from you as long as you can provide value. And like for me, value is being able to teach whatever, knowledge I have and sharing it with others, because knowledge is worthless if you keep it to yourself.
That's right.
So that's how my journey got me here.
Yeah. Have you read Jab, 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 Right Hook?
I haven't.
That's his book. That's kind of my first introduction to Gary Vee. And I like lived down the road from his pop's liquor store for a little while. I got a chance to meet him. But I mean, that's the gist, right? Like, is everybody's giving away free information, and like you said before, sometimes they can be a little irresponsible with it, or they're not giving you the full story. Like, oh, you can get this and sell it on Amazon. Eric and I were talking about this earlier, but like the hype is gone. Like there's nothing left on the bone for you to eat by the time they're telling you about it. And it's what I wish is like that knowledge gap is filled by some of the OGs. Like you're lucky because you're younger, you're tech savvy, or you're getting tech savvy, and you're trying to learn it. And you're trying to marry your knowledge to the internet. I think that's why everybody's loving you, because like ain't nobody's heard this knowledge while you're coming for the clothes, the hard good information. Nobody, like at least my age, is talking about glass the way that you're talking about it. It's like, oh shoot. And because like when we walk into a thrift store, how many people walk past the glass, or they just look at it, it's like, that's nice, but they don't have the knowledge or the experience to back it up. So I'll just go to the video games.
Yeah, and it's funny because it was like the opposite for me. Like I would go to a thrift store and I could go through a thrift store in like 15 minutes because all I was looking at was the glass and ceramics. Mm-hmm. So it was like, now I go to a thrift store and it takes me 4 hours to get through a thrift store because I'm in the glass, I'm in the ceramics, I'm in the electronics, I'm in the clothes, I'm in the shoe. Like I look at every single section place top to bottom in a thrift store.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it takes time. And it's wild.
But like, to me, it's like, all right, I just spent 4 hours in school. Like, I'm not just like, I'm learning different things. I'm competent in different things. I could have been, sitting around 4 hours at my house, binging on Netflix. But like, not only am I studying products, I'm studying my store, the people in it. When are they bringing stuff out? Who do I need to talk to? To get the leg up on somebody else, because especially by me, like I know they're resellers. Like I've talked to a bunch of them, we've shared stuff with each other, but like I want to get a leg up on them, and I might not have the knowledge, but from my background, like I'm pretty good at developing a relationship and earning somebody's trust. I'm going to lean into that.
Oh, and that's super important too. Yeah. Like that's a great thing to be able to have in your pocket. It's like, for me, that's how I got in good at with people at the estate sales around here, because they get excited to see somebody like me get excited about like antiques and glass and stuff like that, right? But like I'm also super polite, and that thanks to my mom and my dad, like that's how I was raised. So it's like I'm always yes ma'am, yes sir, no ma'am, no sir, all the time. Don't matter who I'm talking to. Like I got a little bit of an urban twang to me, obviously, as you guys can tell. But like that doesn't mean that I'm not respectful and polite, So like those little things go a long way. Like I got a table of glass right here that this woman gave me who works at the estates, who literally just messaged me. Was like, hey Tim, I have this glass up there from the estates. Can you come pick it up? And I was like, yes ma'am. And it's like those are the little things that people tend to look over. So it's great that you are able to do things like that. And I mean, like obviously we can tell that you're a smooth operator. I mean, your name isn't Dapper Tiger for nothing.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, twofold, both what you guys were saying about, obviously none of us know everything about everything. So no. I mean, if you're not learning, especially in this thing, if you're not trying to learn more and gain more knowledge, dude, you're going to be left behind, because I mean, all it's going to take is somebody to move in on your niche in your area, and then you're messed up. So if you're not constantly, like we were saying earlier, adapting to change, and then like Sam was saying, I mean, me and him have had this conversation multiple times. It's about relationships. I mean, making relationships at the thrift stores, even at yard sales. I was telling him a story today about going to a yard sale. 3 older ladies, they have 3 yard sales a year. And dude, they're pickers. That's what they are. And so they have a pick like this sale. So when I told them I resell, dude, they got geeked up. I'm showing them how to look stuff up on Google Lens and like on the eBay app to see what it is. And they're taking me around their sale like, look this up. And they're trying to, they're like, what is this worth? And so I actually was walking down the driveway leaving, and the lady's like, hey, I got these 2 toasters. Like, why don't you come and look at them? They're from the 50s. Dude, they're $75 toasters. $5 a piece what I got them for it. But you know, if I'd have sat there and like took some time with those people, I mean, that's huge. And in the thrift stores, like for me, the thrift store is like Sam's saying, I mean, it's school. It's like you've got plenty of, like, if I'm going in there and I've got time, like there's sometimes we're drive by a thrift store, you know, like, okay, I got to run in here. I got about 15 minutes.
For sure.
But then there's other times I was like, dude, if I ain't got nothing going on, I'm going to look up everything I can, just because if I ain't seen it before, like I'm going to scan it and say, what is this? Is it something worth looking at, or is it trash? So, I mean, I think it's that. And YouTube. I mean, like most resellers I talk to, everybody's watching people. You know, you're watching things. Like I was listening to someone, and I can't even remember exactly who it was, but they were saying, I wish I could like put a compilation video of everything that's sold and just like play it night and day. Like, okay, this is sold. This is what you look for, just to get it in your brain. So when you go out,
Josie hates it, but I fall asleep listening to YouTube. Like I literally, no, this is Joe's.
I do too.
Like,
no, I do too.
I'll put on like, usually it's people that, you know, are like bigger channels, you know, because most of the time, like, you know, I don't really comment on the bigger channels as much as like I probably should, but it's like I watch them, obviously, you know, like, but I comment more on the smaller channels, and like that's one thing I need to get better at is commenting on other people's videos, just to let them know that like I do watch and I do try and pay attention, because like sometimes it is hard not to, you know. And then but with the bigger channels, like, you know, I'm trying to soak in some information, so I'll literally put on Lonnie or John or Matt or somebody like that. Like I used to I don't know if y'all know who Blue Bus Dave is, but Blue Bus Dave is this dude. He's got a pretty big channel, right? But he's not like a typical like reseller like how we are. He sells at the flea markets and he sells like small things on eBay, but he knows a lot about older stuff. And so like I used to listen to him all the time, and Josie would get so angry. She'd be like, I wake up and I hear this guy. I go to sleep and I hear this guy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But like some people don't realize like you retain that information even when you're sleeping. So like, I don't know. It's just sometimes I gotta have that. Like I'll watch Netflix, right? Like right now I'm watching Money Heist on Netflix. So I'm watching Money Heist, right? And then when it gets like 2-3 in the morning, I'm like, all right, I gotta go to sleep because I gotta be up at 8 o'clock. So I turn that off, and then I'll take my phone and I'll go to YouTube and I'll put on like somebody's channel, and then I'll just prop it up next to the bed and play it and then go to sleep.
Yeah,
but like, it really helps.
I got a set of headphones. I actually just pop one in one ear because she's like, turn that mess off.
Yeah, there's my wife. There's another live stream, and it's usually like Tommy and Tracy on, and I was just hanging on by a thread, like trying to text and fall asleep.
Yeah. Another live stream.
But like, you know, she's like, you know, like, I like hanging out and talking, meeting people, and then socializing in the chat. But then like, you got folks like Tommy and Tracy every now and then they'll drop a freaking nugget, and I'm like, I gotta remember that. It's 2 a.m, but I gotta figure out a way to remember that.
Oh, dude, I have Post-it notes all over this desk of notes from
I'm
like
right
people.
now. Like when Tim's talking, dude, I'm writing. When Sam's saying stuff, I'm, you know,
It's super important, man. And it's just like that's the thing is because like I think I saw Kent say something about, you know, 2 steps ahead, because that's the truth. Like it's easy to like, you know, you gotta have that mentality like how it is. They always say you gotta keep listing, right?
Yep.
And it is more than just like you know, literal. It's figuratively too, because you know you gotta keep doing something. Like if you're not listing, taking pictures. If you're not taking pictures, research. If you're not doing research, you know, finding new things to research. It's like there's always something that you can be doing to improve yourself. And Eric said it earlier. He's like, you know, none of us know everything about everything. Like that's the truth. Like there's stuff like, but like I'll never be like, oh, I don't know, and then just give up. I'll be like, nah, I got to figure this out.
Yeah. I may not know now, but I will soon.
Yeah.
That's it is.
because it's like I mean I'll never forget like when I first started on eBay. I was at a thrift store and I knew nothing. I'd never seen a video about remote controls, right? And I was just like walking by the electronics, just like, man, let me just look, because a remote control usually got like a number on it that tells you the model. So I'm like, man, let me just look this up. And the first remote I picked up, I looked up, it was like $25 on eBay. I was like, what? Somebody's paying $25 for a remote? I was like, man, I sat the remote bucket for like 20 minutes. I came home with like 20 remote controls. And my mom's looking at me like, you find anything cool? And I'm like, I got a bag of remotes. And she was like, remotes? And I was like, yeah, remote controls. She was like, people buy remote controls? I was like, I guess so. And I listed them. And then for like the first 2 weeks that I was on eBay, I was selling like 2 remote controls a week. And I didn't even know how to test them either. Right? So I just put untested, right? That's on all my listings. And then I came across from the UK, Nick and Andrea Hills. I came across their video on how to test remotes, and I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, yo, but like it's those things like that. So it's like, you know, it's crazy to me that like some things that sell. I'm just like, this is wild. Like, dude, I found a Thundercats pencil in a box that I was helping my mom move. I was like, man, let me look this thing up real quick. Looked it up, and then I sold it in like 2 hours for $30. A pencil.
Part-time pickers move right there, selling vintage pencils.
That's it. Always be scanning, man. Always be scanning. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, that's the best part. Is like when I found out about the barcode thing, I was like, anything that had a barcode at that point, I was like, but you know, I learned something after a while. I was like, there's a lot of things that I probably passed up on, right? Because you know, sometimes you scan it and it'll say no listings, right? But you have to remember that the things only come up when you scan with the eBay app if people who are listing it actually put the UPC in their listing. So sometimes you got to remember to, like, if it doesn't come up on a barcode, don't forget to at least try and type it in just to see, because sometimes like it's happened to me a bunch of times where like I scanned something and I was like, man, this is new in the package. It's not coming up. I'm bringing it home. And then when I type it in at home, it's like, oh man, look at all these comps. So like it took me a while before I learned that.
Yeah. And also sometimes it won't come up with sold listings. Like when you have the UPC, you'll be like, man, I see it in there listed, but it's not sold. And then you type the letters in. Or like what I'll do is copy and paste the top, like the actual words. I'll paste that in back in and search it again, and you'll find sold listings, because I've passed like that too.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of people, you know, they preach the sell-through rate. Like I not that I don't take it into consideration, but sometimes I'm like, man, I don't pay no mind. I'm like, somebody bought it at some point, somebody gonna buy it at another point. So I still bring it home sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess everybody's like version of long tail is a little different, you know.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and you have to remember, in my like realm of antiques and collectibles, like you'll sit on something for 2 years, right? And like some people are like, oh nah, I'm not doing that, right? But for me, it's like I go into that knowing, because you know, a lot of those things you have to come across the right collector to buy, right? But it's like, am I going to pass up something that's $2 that is worth, in my opinion, $200 because it might take a year to sell? Absolutely not. Like I mean, I'll store it. I mean, I'm not paying anything to, you know what I'm saying, to store it to a certain extent. But like, you know, sometimes you gotta know, like, I made a bad mistake on that one. So like I have a clearance section in my Etsy store. Like, everything in that section is 40% off. So if anybody wants anything cool that's not really cool to everybody else, go check it out.
Yeah, it is one of those things. I mean, I think for me, it just depends on how much got invested in it. You know, and my theory, honestly, is once it's listed, it's there. It's listed. Unless it's taking up a massive amount on my shelves, then I'm like, hey, I'll try to get rid of that thing. But if not, I've already done the work. You might as well reap whatever reward you're going to get off of it at that point.
And I'll tell you a good tip for things like that. And I preach a lot about being Instagram, not to say Instagram savvy, but using Instagram to your advantage. Is so I will repost something like, so for example, with Etsy, you can share directly from your Etsy store to Instagram, right? And so it'll let you do the last 25 listings that you have, okay? And those last 25 listings, they'll give you like a script of, something. So what I did is I had so many listings that renew, and then, so like I can't keep up with it. So I have to go back into my store and share through my actual listings, right? But like something will just be sitting in my Etsy store for forever. I'll post it to Instagram, right? And I might have posted it on Instagram 3 months ago, but it still hasn't sold. But I'm posting it again because it's jumped to the top of my listings page. And now somebody who was following my Instagram page now, but wasn't following my Instagram page 3 months ago, sees that item, and then that generates interest in that item. So now they might go get it because they didn't know that it existed 3 months ago because they weren't following me. But now that they're following me, they're like, oh man, look at this. I've never seen this before. Let me go to his Etsy store and buy it. So it's just like it goes back to the preach of the more eyes, the better, which is why I think that selling on so many different platforms has been very good to me, because like there's certain things that some people go to certain websites to look for, like, and it's just, and I haven't even fully like, I'm thinking about starting to list my vintage clothes on Etsy now too, but just to kind of generate more eyes and just see what it is.
Yeah, I think it is. Obviously different platforms too have different genres that they specialize in. Like, I mean, I think there's certain things you would sell better on other platforms. Like for me, I've still, like, I've got a couple pair listed on eBay, but I mean, I've primarily done eBay. But man, I got a whole box of new old stock Jordache jeans, and I'm like, man, I mean, they're clean. But and their mom jeans, like, which now they're from the 80s.
Oh yeah,
I was like, dude, but I put them on eBay because that's the main platform I'm on, and I've never had any success with Posh myself. Like you guys, we were talking earlier about getting all the followers and shared. But like I'm thinking, I was like, man, what else can I put them on to where I could get a better return on them? Because I've got a pretty low investment in them, but I've got 16 pair of those things. So one of those things.
Like, so for that, I honestly think, and this is what you have to think about too. So like with Depop and for example, right, you don't have to pay anything to post, right? You don't have to pay anything to list your item, and there's no subscription fee, nothing like that, right? But like those are like where those young kids are looking. And right now, like those jeans are super popular to those young kids. So it's like, there's no harm. You're not going to lose any money. You can get money, and it's just like, I would take those Jordache jeans and I throw them up everywhere because it's crazy. Like, you just never know. Like, there's some things sell on eBay and you're like for example, with Jacob, like I saw Jacob's video, right? And I'm looking at that video. I'm like, yo, he's got some crazy dope hats, right? And so like, he left some comments and we were chatting back and forth on Instagram. And I told him, I'm like, look, you need to go to Grailed, man. Like, just, he ain't even know what it was. And I'm like, dude. And then he messaged me. He was like, yo, in 4 hours of signing up on Grailed, I sold a hat. And I'm just like, and like, Sir Knox, the one who told me about that too. And I was just like, man, like, and like, that just goes back to like, the sharing of information. Like
Mhm.
Cernak told me about Grailed, and then I told Jacob about Grailed, and it's just like, everybody's still eating. It's just like those are the things.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and most of us too are selling one-off stuff. Like, I mean, it's not like I've got 100,000 pair or something, and you've got 100,000, and we're competing for the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're finding one-off for the most part. I mean, everybody obviously is looking for some kind of sustainable thing, but like I said, at the same hand, it's not like, dude, if I sell a pair of Jordache jeans and I've got 15, well, man, there's 150,000 people that are looking for the same thing. So it's not a big deal. Might as well help.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, today I just listed some books on Mercari because I had them up on Amazon. They weren't really going anywhere. And I'm just like, I just need to get rid of this stuff and make some space for new stuff. I'm like, I'm comping, I'm looking. There's like maybe one book and it sold like 2 days ago, but nothing. So I was like, I don't know. I'm like, screw it. Let's just list them, And it's kind of like, what Tank is saying, just make your own comp. Like, who knows? And like, my phone's been blowing up from all these people liking books. I was like, oh, okay. I guess books have a place in Mercari. People do read.
So let me ask you, how do you, because I've gotten to this point where like, sometimes the certain platforms have like niches that you post, like you have an idea in your mind, like this is going to go on, sell best on this platform, right? I've gotten to the point where it's like, I know people say Mercari is more like toys and games and stuff like that. Do you find that it's more of a very like a little bit of everything on Mercari?
Oh yeah. I mean, like, I saw a person sell their own personally handmade tie-dye shirts. Now, like, when you're thinking of handcrafted stuff, you're thinking Etsy, right? Like maybe eBay. I'm not thinking Mercari, but I've seen at least people, making their own jewelries, making their own clothing. As soon as all this stuff was happening, handmade face masks were already going up on there. Mm-hmm. So, just that alone, right? And so then I'm like, okay, how many of these like people who are sharing these preconceived notions, like, oh, Mercari's only for toys and video games. Now, because I've heard them, I've mentally limited myself to exploring a category in it. You know what I mean? Like, now there are certain rules. Like, I know for sure that I can't sell food because like I got put into Mercari detention by trying to sell Pickle Rick Pringles on there. Now I know, but unless they're calling a foul, I'm playing the game. So it's okay if I don't know the rules on what I can and cannot sell. That's my bad. I can't just say like I didn't read the rules, but like. I also don't want to shut myself off because I heard somebody with more years of experience of selling already have a bias and a belief. So like, why, and why not double my chances of more eyeballs seeing it? Maybe somebody's turned off by Amazon and they don't want to pay like $27 for a book, but they rather buy for $15 from me and I get to make more even though I sold it for less because I'm not paying eBay all the exorbitant fees.
Yeah. So have you like stopped listing on other platforms or are you still listing on other platforms besides Mercari?
It's Mercari and eBay. And then like I just pulled out a ton of hats. So I'm getting back into Grail and all that. So, but like because for a while I was cross listing a bunch of stuff and, I was so like scattered. Nothing was really selling that fast. But then as soon as I put my energy into one, like I follow Rinzi. They're a couple out of Maine and they primarily sell shoes and only shoes on Poshmark and Mercari. They don't know a blessed thing about eBay, but they know how to game Facebook Marketplace and then use that to their advantage for Poshmark and Mercari. And they sell six figures every year. And every year they're doing better than the last. So it's like, so I hear a lot of folks like eBay. But here's a couple right now who lost their jobs and they did it. And they don't rely on eBay at all. And it doesn't stop them. So I think that's the beautiful thing of all these platforms. You hear somebody like Matt, I got a $3,000 budget to pick up and source goods for my store. That's my comfort level, my budget. For me, I'm 500. You know, even if I
Man,
grow. So
let me tell you, I get a little scared once I start spending like $40-$50.
yeah.
Just cause like I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket, you know. So sometimes I take it slow. But I did drop $200 on all these tie clips and cufflinks.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the way I look at it is, even let's say I just sold each one at $10 a piece, right? Because I have sold cufflinks and tie clips before on all platforms. I've sold some on Poshmark, I've sold some on Grailed, I've sold some on eBay, and I've sold some on Etsy. So I haven't sold any on Macari or Depop yet. But let's say $10, 225 times 10, that's $2,225 from $225. Like that, I'll take that all day.
yeah. Well, like you said about the glass, like sitting there for like 2 years, right? And you only put $2 into it, and you can't even put that in a bank. You can't put $2 in a bank and hope that you're going to get $200 out of it in 2 years.
You'll lose the more money.
Yeah, even 2% return on a stock market, right? Like, which is freaking phenomenal. Like on $2 over 2 years, like come on, you'll be sitting there forever. Like I don't care how much compounding you're doing in the course of 2 years. Yeah, so it's like, what are your, like, I look at like Mr. Buys a lot, who like he has a whole where he don't care.
I want to
He's
go.
just got all
So I want to go so bad. I was about to, and then like I had another obligation, and then shit hit the fan, and I was just like,
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, when you're talking about like sourcing and stuff and buying things, I mean, I love to look for the bulk buy for sure. But you know, just like with what's going on right now, like for me, if I'm going to a place that's got a lot of stuff, obviously you're trying to get a lot of stuff. And I'm always looking for one or two items that are going to pay for everything else. So then it's all profit therein. But
that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. Then the other thing is like, but now with everything going on, man, you kind of got to shift gears, dude. I was in Walmart today looking at hair clippers, because I was like, they're selling right now.
I hope you bought them all out.
That's the thing. I mean, dude. I mean, they're double your money right out the gate.
Yeah, I need a haircut, man. I usually have a sharp fade.
Yeah,
Look at this. Right?
Bro, yeah, they talk about uptown fade. I got a downtown fade right now. I just straight homeless.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm not letting nobody cut my hair. I'm not cutting. I used to cut my hair when I was shave it all off, but right now, nah. I'm just going to tough it out. But the worst part is like usually when I go get a haircut, right? You know, I get my beard like, you know, shaped up, and I take like an inch or so off the beard, right? And I get this taken care of. But like I can't drink out of a cup because it's like my mustache is like, you can't even see my top lip right now. But like I don't want to touch it. I don't want to mess it up, because then when everything is back to normal, I go back to my barber. He gonna look at me like, "What did you do?" And I'm gonna be like, "Man, I couldn't drink."
It is one of those things, but it's one of those things. I mean, like we were saying earlier, it's all about adapting to what you got going on. And you know, I mean, if you're not, I have seen people who in this time they just kind of resting, man. They're just chilling. And I was like, dude, I mean, business is still happening. And if you're missing out on it because you're not staying up, then
and I'm used to it, you know, like I grew up in a restaurant. My folks in a restaurant, you know, like when I was like a kid, you know, I would get off the bus and I would go help my dad cook food and answer the phones or do my homework on the fridge. So it's like while everybody else is partying at nights or on the weekends, I was making money. Yeah. Like I rather bartend or make deliveries and have a bunch of cash than to go screw around with my friends for a little while and be broke.
You know what though, too, is like I just started thinking about this today, and I was like, it kind of feels like it might actually be a good thing, me personally, that this downtime of sourcing, because in this business, a lot of times you're making money, right? but you're investing a lot more than you're making for majority periods of the time, right? Because like you've been programmed to be like, I need inventory, I need to list, right? But like right now, I'm like, my bank account looks pretty good because I'm not like at the thrift store every day, you know? So like part of me is kind of like, I always try to look at things from different perspectives. So like part of me is like, I gotta get to the thrift store. I gotta get to the thrift store. You know, like I need a yard sale. But like the other part of me is like, you know, you're getting ice cream. Don't worry, I'm not gonna forget. I already get a notification on my phone. But like, and then the other part of me is like, man, I'm finally getting around to listen to all this crap that I didn't, you know, I didn't really have, like, I'm not one of those people that has like a death pile, right? Like I have more of a, I don't feel like researching it pile, you know, like that's how mine is really. And like, but it's forced my hand, and that's in the end is a good thing, you know. But like, let's all be honest, we are all itch, for me especially. Like I'm just now, like, this is gonna be my first yard sale season as like a full-time reseller who's not just selling antiques. So like I was all geared up for yard sale season, and it's like, I don't know if it's I mean, I hope it's gonna happen, but we have to think about it realistically. Like there's a good chance that it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, especially because like I heard David talk about not opening up Ireland until like next year. I was like, oh well, that'd be interesting for us. So sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, I see all these people on Facebook Marketplace and Nextdoor, right? Those deals don't come around where I live. I'm like, man, y'all are getting lucky. Jacob got some crazy stuff recently.
Yeah, you gotta have the right uncle. That's what I was telling these guys. Both of them put out a video back to back saying, "Hey, my uncle gave me all this stuff." I was like, "Dude, where are these uncles, man?"
Well, I'll tell you a funny story though. So this woman had this dope Atlanta Braves satin starter jacket, like, you know, like late 80s, early 90s. And I was up for like $35, and I know that I could sell that jacket for at least $70. And so I messaged her, and she was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, it's already gone." I'm like, "It's okay. I appreciate you replying back to me, you know, letting me know." And the next day she messages me. She's like, sends me all these pictures and this long paragraph, and she's like, "I watched your YouTube channel, and I have all this stuff. If you know, maybe we can work something out." And I'm like, "Man, that would be awesome." But like, I don't know, like, I can't like do it how I normally would do it. Like normally I would go and I'd be like, you know, I would look through everything, like talk and negotiate. But in these circumstances, I'm like, you sent me some good pictures of some good stuff. Like there's some Civil War memorabilia, some like nice smoking stuff, like pipe tobacco stands and ashtrays, some like vintage advertising stuff. And I'm like, if you can put together some boxes of all that stuff and then just give me a price, like I'll take the risk and just, you know, come to your house, pick up the boxes off the front porch, leave you the money, you know, bring the stuff home, let it quarantine for a couple of days in a driveway, wipe it all down, that sort of thing. But like, I mean, that's like as far as I've got. And I got the Wii and the GameCube consoles. That was a good one for me. That was the only one I found since in quarantine. I paid $70 for a Wii bundle and a GameCube system, all the power cords, 2 controllers, and 1 game. And I sold the GameCube for $135 and the Wii for $115. So like, you know, that was a good flip for me, but it's tough.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah, I mean, when you look around at what's going on right now, it is one of those things like we all are trying to figure it out because it's something different for sure. But I think exactly what you were saying. I mean, it's making you have to switch things up. For me, I had done 3 huge buys back to back to back, so I had tons of stuff. But I was listening to someone a while back, and they were saying, projects versus profits. And for me, it's made me really think that thing, because a lot of times, dude, I'm buying stuff and I'm like, man, that stuff's awesome, but look how much work you got to put into doing it. Like, look how much there is to it. Like, I have a bunch of video game systems now that I'm either like waiting on parts, trying to fix stuff, or just, and at some point it's like, is it worth the time? Right now I have the time, but if I continue to buy like that, buying a bunch of projects, and then, man, it won't be long before you're in a mess. Like, for me, so now I'm trying to balance all that out and think like, hey, when I go back to sourcing, I'm not interested in as many projects. I'm looking for, let's find something that we can list it easily. We can get it out the door. There's some things that may be worth the project, but not when you have a bunch of them already, because then they just sit over there and look at you all the time.
Oh, dude, I totally feel you, man. I'm literally staring at this, which has just become a place to put other pieces of glass on, is this Samsung DVD home theater system. I'm like, what? Why don't I just list that thing? I mean, like, it's old school, but I'm sure somebody could use it right now. It's huge. It's like a 12-disc DVD home theater system. It's got 3 speakers with it and a remote. And like, I got to the point where I'm like, yo, if things don't work, I'm just going to sell them for parts, man, because if I can get more than what I pay for it, it's a win.
Yeah. Like, and all the stuff, like, it's made me, like, I'm fascinated by like mindsets and, thought processes of things. So like, it's made me look at, my death pile, my soy pod, and just like, okay, why is that listed? Was it just because I'm so busy moving on to the next thrift run or scoping something else out that I've forgotten about it? Or is it like subconsciously there's something about that item that I don't want to list? Like I had clothes laying around for a while, and I just had to be real. Like, I do not like clothes. I barely like doing my own laundry, but I know I had to like, pull myself together and try and list and get it all done. And then whenever it's sold, and, maybe be a little bit pickier about what kind of clothing items that I pick up in the future. So, it's kind of had me reevaluate some of the stuff that I've looked at. Not so much like, do I want to put in the work, but it's like, it's more feeling out like what I like and I don't like, but sometimes you can't be stubborn about that.
That's it.
Yeah. And I think it's just super important to, because I went through phases. Like, I used to be really good where like, but bad, because like I would go to the thrift store and I'd buy everything I saw, right? And like I would come back to my mom's house with, I'm not even exaggerating, like 20 bags. She'd be like, is that everything? And I'd be like, nah, I got a couple more bags in the car. And then like 10 bags later, she's like looking at me like, where are you gonna put all this stuff? And I'm just like, I don't know. It's good. And then like I would literally just start taking pictures immediately. And then it would be like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be like, oh my God. Like, and then then I got to the point where I was just like piling stuff up, and like it's just, you really just gotta try and find that balance of being able to like whatever you have to do personally to stay on top of it. Because everybody can say, yeah, it's great to have a death pile right now, but I mean, a pandemic is once in a blue moon, so it's like,
Right.
hopefully, we won't need to rely on death piles anymore. But it's like I said, for me, I never really had a death pile, because the way I look at it is I'm trying to make money, and I ain't gonna be making my own money if it's sitting on the table.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is like a lot of the stuff that is not listed is my own fault. Like clothes, I've pretty much listed all the clothes that I have, except for the ones that like need like dry cleaning, or like I gotta do some work on. And that's just me putting in all the time to do the work on it. But then I'm like, am I gonna sit here and scrub shirts, or am I gonna list things that are sitting in front of me? So it's like you're always battling with yourself. And then like there's other things that like just I mean, researching glass is sometimes like I'll be on one piece and it'll be like 2 hours, and I'll be like, I feel like I'm trying to break into the fucking White House internet. You know, like it's just like it's tough.
Yeah, it is for sure. Well, guys, we've been on for like an hour and 45 minutes, and honestly, I could sit here all night. But man, if we don't get Tim to get some ice cream for,
I'm sorry. I feel like I talked way too much. I apologize.
No, you're good, man. We appreciate the knowledge for sure.
That's what we had to hear to talk.
Yeah, and like I said, we're very thankful for everybody that popped in. And you know, guys, I do encourage you to look up these guys' channels. They're all down in the link, and subscribe to those guys, man. Hit the bell on them so that you can learn some knowledge. We've dropped the link of the packing video. I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch that thing again myself because, man, I mean, for me, I've steered away from things because I was nervous. So,
I mean, yeah, totally. Me too. Like, I mean, it's difficult. Like, I didn't want to get into like clothes and electronics because I was nervous. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. But like, you know, everybody, we're in the end, we are literally all in the same boat together. So it's like, you know, I always want to be able to do anything I possibly can to help other people, and it's just like, you know, like. For me, like I was like super excited to come on with you guys tonight, just because like I wanted, you know, you guys to know that, like, you know what I'm saying, like I appreciate everybody, you know, like finding, you know, all three of you guys. I watched the first couple of weeks that you guys have just been doing this now, and I was just like, man, that's awesome, because like it took me so long before I was doing a live, and like to see you guys doing lives, like it's awesome, man.
Yeah, we do, man. We appreciate you coming on for sure. And, you know, we're thankful for what you've been able to help with us, and knowing that there's those resources out there that we could reach out and say, hey, Tim, you know, what about this piece of glass? Because that's something that I'm very, very not very experienced in. But I wanted to give Jacob a shout out too. Obviously, he's having terrible internet situation where he's at. So we missed having our third wheel on here, being able to bring something new to the table. It's interesting. We have kind of a different dynamic because Jacob, being a little bit younger than us, man, he's able to pull out some things that we don't always think about. So we do want to shout out his channel. And
oh, dude, yeah. I mean, like, and that's the thing that's crazy is like I you know, I didn't know him, and then like he like commented on a couple of my things on YouTube, and I started following him on Instagram, and then I started watching his video, and then like, you know, like we started talking. I mean, same thing with, I think with Sam, like he was following me on Instagram. I felt like before I even knew he was like, you know, into the YouTube chats, and it was just like, it's just crazy how it all works, and it's just like, you know, like I'm always telling other people too about the people that they don't know about. Like I linked up Cernock and Jacob, you know, and like Jacob's getting some hats from him now, and it's just like, you know, like I like to see everybody get together, man.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's one of the great things about, you know, what I see in the reselling community. For the most part, I mean, obviously, like everything else, there's people that are doing their own thing, but it seems like everybody is encouraging and trying to help one another, because like we said, I mean, ultimately, you know, gaining that knowledge, having that sense of community, that's why we do it. So it's been good to have you guys, and we're gonna say so long for this evening, and if you guys we're gonna go ahead and cut that thing. Thank you guys for watching. We will talk to you next Monday.
Have a good weekend.
Take care.